Okay, well, all sorts of people are making hand gestures now. So I'm going to assume that it's time for me. Okay, now we're just making more hand gestures. Welcome to Battletech, Gentlemen of Lists. We are in episode 7. The show I announced last time is underway, Battletech Solaris Knights with the K. Except we're running the whole war game in secret. The players don't know who the other players are, and all of them privately submit orders to me, which are then processed. So, I don't know, in like 6 months to a year, you can watch it.
That sounds cool, though.
Turns out,
That's my
binge
intro.
watch.
if you make the Fog of War part of the production schedule, it does become longer, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Oh, the war is so foggy. It's incomprehensible, really. Speaking of incomprehensible, let's do intros with Ticking Time Bomb, a man who chose to remove himself from 90% of today's episode by making his character canonically not be present at any of the upcoming events.
That's true. It sounds like something I would do. I'm Bob.
You said you rewatched the episode, and the episode was you going, I don't want to meet these women. I'm going to make a roll so that I don't have to be there. And then you rolled really high.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he didn't watch the last 10 minutes, so that it does track.
That was the part I zeroed in on, like, all the other
important
stuff.
part of the episode that
probably
establishes that he's not here. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of fell behind.
Don't worry, Bob. We'll find you.
I believe it. I believe it. So
I think canonically you won't find him, actually, but
No, not at all.
yeah, Ticking Time Bob. I run this channel. We do lots of Pendragon over here. I also am going to say this is episode 8, and that was my bad for putting the wrong episode name. So it's episode 8.
I'm just reading what he put down on us at home.
Yeah, it's my fault. We can carry on now.
Thomas, let's do your intro.
Hello. My name is Thomas, and I will be playing Louis Gabrielson, pilot of the Raven. And he just wants to do his job and get out alive, and he doesn't know what's happening.
Mark.
Hello, I am Mark, aka The Gets Meow, and today I will be playing a character I haven't played in a while, Rahul Chastain, the sneaky noble criminal. It's noble as in rank, not noble as in a decent person. No, he has truly been awful recently, and I'm excited for more chances to be awful. Ready?
Nothing I can think of says awful more than selling out the innocent young lad for your crimes and then completing it with a clothesline on top of everything.
Exactly.
That is the coup de grace right there.
The worst / best part about it, Louis doesn't know that this shady stuff is happening at all. I made him to be the most shady. He's a telemarketer cultist. He'd be down, mostly.
We start with the sound of trumpeters. But when they end, they kind of look to see that there isn't like a good red carpet rolled out. And the 4 women who have come to visit exit their black SUVs one by one. The first one is an aged woman. She's got, her hair is, you know how they say blue-haired old lady? This woman has dyed her gray hair blue in a beehive configuration. Truly, there must be like 6 pounds of hair on this woman's shoulders. And she walks straight back, despite the fact she should probably be hunched with age. Announcing Madame Petunia, and she continues to move forward, and you can hear that her genealogy includes her membership in the Durachi, which is the women who have been elevated to something like noble status for being very rich, captain of industry. If you're listening to her full litany, it sounds like she's been married 4 times, and her wealth seems to come from marrying rich men and then waiting for them to die. She looks forward.
Blue beard. What's the name for that?
Blue beehive hair?
Yes, she is the Marge Simpson.
She sniffs in the air, looking around. It smells like a mech bay here. She looks at the building and she says, "My word, it looks like no one has taken care of this facility in ages. It almost seems like someone stole the doors off this place." And we cut to doors which were recently stolen and then replaced by doors which don't fit correctly and were not repainted to match the exterior. She sort of turns her nose up at it and moves. Someone steps out next. It looks to be a woman in her like mid to late 30s wearing a Magistracy naval uniform. Her rank says Com-Capt, which you would know is Commodore Captain, but because future science fiction-y stuff has to shorten names down, it's Com-Cap, which is a weird thing to say. This is basically like the commander of either a flagship vessel or like a flotilla of smaller ships. So a pretty highly ranked important person. When her lineage is read out, it's very clear that she's a commoner. But as someone of such high rank, I mean, she's several ranks higher than all of you. And on top of that, it's the Navy. And in general, the Navy feels they're more important than the Army. Her name is Levance de Chambard. And she seems to come from a long line of specialty chefs. But again, is a commoner. She helps the next person out. This is a dark-skinned woman of African heritage. She has shaved her head. She's wearing a kente cloth like outfit. Absolutely turned it into some sort of strange like pencil skirt business outfit. It definitely seems like some sort of weird, messed up, crazy ass shit. This woman is Ndaya Abu, and she is an art critic. She steps out and she brings out a fan and says, Oh my. I've come here looking for truth. And you don't think she's looking for truth as a subjective value or understanding. You think she's looking for the painting series, Truth, that a certain artist has left behind a secret copy of. And I'm sorry, I said the Dorachi were the merchants. That's the Giran. This woman is a Giran. The first woman, Madame Petunia, is part of the regular nobility. And the last woman to come out is Lady Tiffany of Camberfield. She is also a Dorachi. She's like 18 years old. She's wearing like a dress with very flower petal sort of theming and like a poofy skirt. Absolutely looks like she should be. She is costumed like she is coming out of some sort of weird Bridgerton and is out of place with the other three. Although each of them also has a pretty unique style as well. Lady Tiffany is like looking around, nervously clutching at a handbag, just like, my goodness. You're sure we're going to be okay here? I heard that the men are savage on the front lines. And Madame Petunia's like, oh, don't worry, dearie. I told your mother I'd be taking care of you. Us Dorachis stand a head above the rest. No, if any of these foul young men try to lay a hand on you, I shall rap them upon the fingers 3 times, and then I'll set the security guards on tasering them. Men have so many weaknesses. Shocking they're capable of walking around without knocking themselves unconscious. Where is the commander of this base? Madame Petunia says, looking around.
As this conversation happens, so where is Louis and Raoul?
I assume you're nearby enough to watch this happen, because
exactly.
Certainly my man is not going to be here to observe this personally. Bob is gone.
Louis will say to Raoul, yes, one of our many weaknesses, getting tased. Where is Commander Pascal?
Not around. I fear we may have to make introductions in his place.
I will defer to your infinite wisdom, as you indeed are nobility yourself.
Very well then. Let's see if I can't make myself of something. With that, he'd make his way over, acting as regal and noble as he can as he approaches.
You're a member of the Frenesse, the original noble line. You approach and Madame Petunia goes, "Oh, look, here comes a peacock."
I will say, Louis, for his part, is walking a little lockstep, little behind and to the right, very much an aide-de-camp kind of thing. He wants to get out of the line of fire, but also these are notable civilian guests.
That Raoul steps forward and with a regal and noble bow would say, "Greetings, ladies. Welcome to our humble little base. How might I be able to help you?"
Madame Petunia goes, "Well, you might tell us where the commander of this facility is so that we might be received properly." As she's saying this, she's like looking at Louis and she goes, she leans in towards Lady Tiffany and says, "Now that one right there, you catch them young. You see he knows his place, a step behind his superiors. Keep an eye on this one. Now, tell me, where's the commander of this base? Dion Moulin."
Dion Moulin, unfortunately, is no longer the commander of this base. He was killed in action, right, or disappeared?
Yes, it was a long time ago. It was like over 6
Yes.
weeks ago.
He was killed in action over 1.5 weeks ago. 1.5 months ago, and has been replaced.
Replaced by who?
His name is Pascal Leroux, and unfortunately, we do not know where he is, though I assure you he is hard at work. Can we cut to, like, Pascal Leroux? Like, at the moment, I imagine, like, Louis kind of on his communications device going, "Where are you, where are you, where are you, where are you, ping, ping, ping."
He's imagining see Pascal just like bouncing a ball against a wall.
A pager? Is that what he's got? Is it
pagers? You're being paged as he's on the huge briefcase laptop, just like discreetly pressing a button. Do we want to continue with the scene, or do we want to level up? Because there might be skill rolls.
That's true. We should level up. Yeah, let's go ahead and roll those hit point dice so we can determine whether you have more hit points than before. And, if you want to spend your skill points on skills, now's a good time.
Indeed. Because I was just thinking, gonna need to make a roll, because these ladies be important. Ooh, nice! My bones are no longer made of glass. I rolled a 5, a 4, and a 4, minus 2. I go from 5 to 11 hit points.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're an expert, it's 3,020 to get to level 3, and if you're a warrior, it's 4,010 to get to level 3.
I think we're all experts because our warrior fucking died, and I have been cleared of his murder.
I think I'm at exactly 3,000.
It's a good time to be cleared of murder, is all I'm saying. So you're not level 3, you're still level 2 then.
I don't think I'm level 3. Yeah, but I think I'm at 3.
But I will roll because I never leveled up to 2, so I'll do that.
Because I think you've got all your objectives, but I sometimes got half objectives while on traffic.
Got you.
Okay.
Your objective today is just to survive this meeting, so...
Yes.
I can still spend my skills for the second level.
Indeed. I'm gonna up my tactics, because that's something we've kind of been missing at times.
Yeah, I was gonna get a point of tactics.
Indeed.
Okay. So while this is happening, Madame Petunia is like, "Pascal Leroux? That's number 17. I'm not sure we should be at a base run by someone so low on the list." And Lady Tiffany's like, "Great aunt, Your list is months old. He's number 1 on my list. And she goes, number 1? Well, these things transition and they go around anyway. Tell me, where can I find this Froness, the Rahul?
Ah, well, I am right before you, dear lady. I am
yes.
Rahul Chastain.
You can lead me to Dr. Jack Manley. Where can I find him?
I'm afraid Jack Manley is not found at this base in particular.
So while this is happening, Lady Tiffany is like embarrassed for her, and Ndaya Abu is just like, okay, this is a comical scene of someone making things harder for everyone around them. Lavance de Chambard is in a strange situation where you are her social superiors, but she vastly outranks you militarily. And it's clear that she's not had to do this situation.
She is not my social inferior. I am a commoner born, despite my rank as a mech warrior here.
That is true. Alright, well, she knows how to handle you then. The problem is Rahul, who, despite her being a woman, is vastly outranked by him.
Socially,
I think she is going to wait passively to see how you treat her.
I think with that, Rahul, always the gentleman, would bow politely before saluting her as is proper to salute someone of higher rank militarily. And would say,
doing color commentary in the background. Madame Petunia's just like, oh, it's good for a man to know his place.
It is a pleasure to meet you, my lady. I see by your rank and title, but I do not know your name.
I am Comcap Lavance de Chambard. I am looking for a husband, and I decided to join my good friend, the art critic Ndaya Abu. I assume you've heard of her. And Lady Abu is just like, yes, I've come here looking for truth, of course. I see that I've arrived at a sort of... well, the style of the facility is certainly not what we would have back in the Magistracy. So...
yes, we've had some redecorating recently, as he looks towards the doors.
You would call the current style abstract. I have read your articles, Miss Amdu. Very good stuff. I
want you to make a roll to kiss ass for sure.
Absolutely.
First roll of the night. Everything is riding on it.
So I just got, with the level up, 3rd rank in Persuade.
So you have a +2 in that?
Yes. My charisma
because you open a
0
+ 1 + 2.
Indeed.
Yep.
My charisma is 12, so is that still a +0, or is that an
That's a
extra
+0. You need a 14 to get a +1.
Okay. Let me move this out of the way, and let me roll these dice.
You're an expert, so you can re-roll it once per hour.
4 and a 4 is an 8 + 2 is a 10.
He closes her fan, uses it to tap you on the shoulder, and says, "Sharp, very sharp, good to be flattery. You couldn't have known I was coming, so it's always nice to meet a fan. Is there something of yours I can sign?"
I think he actually thinks back to his, depressing Spartan lack of personal effects, and he goes, if you could sign my notepad.
He smirks, and she pulls out, a gold-colored pen that leaves it in, permanent, glitter-style ink. It's sludgy, and you can tell it's setting into your note pewter. She signs it.
Oh no! It's not his note pewter. It is paper.
Oh, a notepad. Yes. Ndaya Abu, and she's just like, very well. So are you the one who killed the artist?
I have been acquitted of that. The actual killer has been swiftly brought to justice. A mysterious and clandestine terrorist. Now, much less of all three. I must say, and I do apologize that we were unaware of your coming, but what is the reason for this sudden visit?
He holds out an arm in such a manner that she wants you to escort her while she walks somewhere.
Oh god. I guess he will.
Okay, so just to be clear, she is separating you from your friend, and that's going to leave him alone with 3 of these women. And it's going to leave you alone with her.
Louis absolutely doesn't want to split the party, but there's no way he can do this without being rude.
Perfect.
So he's...
I got him 3-way split here.
Yeah.
They're all on their own now.
Like it's all Raoul. If Raoul has a reason for him to be around, then he's gonna take it like a lifeline.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rahul doesn't outrank you anymore. So he can't technically order you to do anything.
He scoops you up into escorting her. Kind of gives you like a very warm hip bump as she's walking away with you, but she fully also has your elbow locked in her elbow. There is no escaping now. And she says,
Indeed.
So I'm on the hunt for the truth. Why don't you tell me everything you know about how he got into the headspace to make it? And maybe by the end of this conversation, we'll end up in front of the pieces. Whatever you have left here. You know, there is a rumor I heard that there's a missing, lost piece.
Why?
Is that what you say out loud? Okay.
Hold on.
Oh, don't worry.
I'm so
We'll
sorry.
cut over to Rahul.
I'm back.
All right.
What I'm going to say is, why is there rumor of a secret piece that was not sold? And why is it in such high demand? I understand that the death of the artist would make things far more valuable, but I'm also curious as to why it would be here. Louis, completely unaware that Alexander Piotr was locked in a room for 2 days making the painting.
I think that the missing painting was mentioned out loud in the last episode at a public event. But I don't know if you were there for that, or if you even believe it.
I was there. I don't think he really cares all that much, because it was admitted to by Pascal. But in that private conversation which he specifically had with the...
You start flashbacking. For some reason, all you can remember is Molcajete.
Yes, I'm Ocean's Elevening. I'm Ocean's Elevening back to the party. But he will say, I have heard rumors of such a thing, but I would not know where to find it. I will tell you all I know about my fallen comrade, however.
Excellent. While that's happening, we cut back over to Rahul. You are now escorting Lady Tiffany, Levance de Chambard, and Madame Petunia. And Madame Petunia is just like, well, Tiffany, let me tell you, the thing about these young pups like this is that this one's already been marked. I heard that the wolf woman is keeping him as a little thing on the side. There are 3 women standing in front of you gossiping about you and saying that a woman has claimed you as a side piece. I'm just curious how you feeling and what you're doing about it.
I think
this woman is old enough to be your grandmother gossiping about your sex life.
I think, like, he visibly there's like no change to himself or his features, but his tail kind of straightens slightly as like the mechanical bits whirl within it, and just kind of goes. If I might show you around, ladies, there are some wonderful features of this space that has remained intact. In fact, we have quite a nice common room.
So Madame Petunia, leans into Levance and Tiffany and is just like, well, if you've seen one military base, you've seen them all. I'm sure nothing of particular value is going to be here. It's a waste of my time. But when you turn and she looks at your tail and your pants, she's like, well, maybe not a complete waste of time. And Lady Tiffany's like, great aunt. This is so disrespectful. You can't be dog-calling men. You take them to the common room, which I believe canonically recently had a party and also has some of the truth paintings hanging in it. Not the secret forbidden one, but it is a common room for a military base that's at the edge of, it's a frontier base. It's not great. I assume that there's like a used couch.
Yeah, you just kind of
table with a game of cards.
I imagine there's the bench is like covered in fucking bowls and cups and shit. Nothing's been fucking cleaned, and he just goes, "Can I get you ladies some coffee?"
I will say though, it wasn't just a party; it was a specifically fancy party. That the logistic noble Pascal and Raoul, I think.
Now let's be very clear. A fancy party for this situation is not a fancy party for Magistracy elite, for sure.
Very true, very true.
Certainly not what they're used to. A fancy party in a Napoleonic barracks is not the same thing as a Parisian affair!
Good heavens. The height of decadence.
Good heavens, we only had 3
shall
orders.
comment upon this? Female fammer? This fiddle faddle?
What do you mean we can only have 2 glasses of wine? This is ridiculous.
So you offer coffee, and Petunia's just like, what are you offering? Arabica? I only drink Americano.
Oh, well, this is specially sourced from the planet itself. We pride ourselves on trying as many of the local delicacies as we can. After all, why not enjoy ourselves while we're here?
I'm not sure that a Capellan even knows what coffee is. Do they even have coffee in Liao space? Tiffany's like, great aunt. You are embarrassing me. Of course they have coffee in Capellan space. I'm sure it's inferior in every way to ours, but please, you can't be going on like that.
I think you may find yourself surprised. There are some that say they've invented their own special form of coffee.
You pull a can of Folgers.
Yup, he's completely talking out of his ass.
Slides it off screen.
Levans nods and goes, yes, standard issue military ration coffee. I know it well. I'll take a cup, please. Strong, black.
Of course.
Lady Tiffany just goes, I'll take mine with some milk, please, and some sugar as well. Madame Petunia goes, make mine an Americano, and I want a squirt of honey in it as well. Make sure that there's no milk, but I want raw brown sugar in it.
Oh, of course. He then goes to make black coffee, coffee with milk, and a black coffee with sugar in it. But he carefully makes sure she doesn't see.
I honestly want a dice roll for this.
Alright then.
That's great.
What am I rolling? What do you got?
I think 2d6 plus your charisma, or dexterity, whichever's better. The difficulty's 6 because you're not adding a skill to it.
Okay. Not adding a skill.
Easier than normal. But
Could I add security?
No skill. We're just rolling the stat plus 2d6.
Just pure charisma. Okay,
whether your charisma or dexterity is higher.
So my charisma is higher, and I have a 14, so I believe that's
you have a +1.
+1.
Go ahead.
And I need to get a 6.
Yep. So you need to have 5 on the dice.
Oh, god damn it.
How hard could it be?
What could possibly go wrong?
Everyone knows the harder you try in dice rolling, the better the result.
True.
Yeah, that's how it works. Hey.
That's a 9.
It's a 9.
You come out with 3 artisanal-looking coffees, including a perfectly prepared Americano. As they're drinking it, Madame Petunia goes, well, I have nothing to complain about now. She raises an eyebrow, and as she says that, she turns, And in the process of her turning, we're watching a certain base commander at a ribbon cutting ceremony for the new like charity memorial. Like it's like it's a local memorial for a man who died saving a kitten in the recent flood. So it's like a dude wearing a fisherman's outfit. It's all in silver of him like climbing a silver tree to get to a cat, and the cat is like majestic and glorious, and it's reaching a paw out towards him, and it has a very Western angelic feel as they're reaching out towards each other, but like the bottom half of it is like waves. And you're like cutting a giant ribbon there with a massive pair of scissors as many local fishermen and rice farmers begin flooding the area, and they're just like, oh, the Canopians make good artwork, I see. And a dude who's wearing an orange tank top and like black shorts standing around goes, yeah, I hope I get a statue like this one day. No one ever gets Uncle Ty one of these. He wraps his hand against, oh, wow, real silver. We cut back to Louis. You are being led around by Indaya. Now, let me be clear. You're the one who knows what this base is. But when I say you're being led around, I mean physically and conversationally. She is dominating your every word. And she says, so I was looking at your particular personnel file. It turns out you used to be a member of Comstar. What's that about?
Well, I was top of my class back in Myopia, and so I wanted to get off-world in a field where I could use my brain and intellect. And eventually I settled into Comstar, and they paid very well.
Oh, interesting. Paid well, but then why would you leave such a devout organization?
Do you want the honest answer, or do you want the proper one?
Please, I'm an artiste. I want the answer you're prepared to tell me. And then later, I want the real answer behind the scenes.
I wanted to serve my nation, and the Magellan
Yes.
Hold on. What nation do we belong to? And the Magistracy.
Yes. And now that bullshit's done pouring out of your mouth, what's the real truth?
I wanted to be a mech warrior. I, as you can see, and he gestures to himself, I'm not the most physically able. Unable to afford the genetic testing and various augmentations. I have to make do with this fragile shell, this meat vessel. Once I had the money, I organized for the best mech I could find, cutting edge, one of the very few actually constructed today using innovative techniques. That was the Raven. I bought it. I had enough money to live relatively comfortably, and then the war happened, and now I'm here.
I want to see your mech.
Please, accompany me. And for the first time, he actually directs the walking destination, turning towards the familiar mech bay.
I am going to offer you an opportunity to roll what the youth today would call a Riz check.
Indeed.
Now, let us set the stage here. There is a strong possibility you may not roll. This woman is an art critic. She is interested in you. You have passed some checks. You have acted politely enough. You have a very sad story which attracts her interests. And you have an unusual mech which also attracts her interests. But the question is, are you attracted to this woman enough that you would like to strike up a relationship, whether that's you just want to kiss her and touch her, or you have what Hendricken would call amour with her, or whether you are serious about a long-term relationship with a member of the Giren. All of that is on the line on this roll. On this
I would
Riz
say,
check.
indeed. I would say this: Ndaya Abau seems quite cool. definitely got some kind of money, some kind of status, might be useful. However, she is the kind of person who would come to a war zone with a flock of women to check out a rumored painting left by one of his dead comrades. She would be an interesting friend to have. He's probably not going to try to riz her up.
If you want to establish yourself into the friend zone, we can roll for that.
Let's do it.
Now, the conditions of failure are interesting because that gives us two ways to go. One is that she sees it as a rejection, and the other is that she starts chasing after you. The unattainable one.
Indeed.
And what I'm going to do is if you fail, I'm going to let the other two cast members decide which way the cookie crumbles. Knowing that, are you still ready to roll?
I am, yes.
Okay. It's charisma persuasion to lock yourself into the friend zone on purpose.
I've got a +2 to this, and I've still got my reroll. Let's do this.
The stakes are, she sends a Twitter post that says, "Ladies, he's such a catch."
I have rolled a 6. That is an 8. Is that success, or is it
Do
not?
you feel like that's a success? You can re-roll, although the results stand.
The 6 is about average.
It's a little bit below
An 8 is
average.
above average.
An 8 is above average.
Mhm.
I'm gonna... You know, I get one reroll every hour. I am going to reroll.
This is a bold move. He's got something like a 55% chance of same or better, so it's
Indeed.
slightly better than flipping a coin. You're actually not rolling, though. You're just hitting F
Oh.
over and over again.
Oh,
You may just want
Well,
to
it-
physically fling the dice.
yes. I will
That's
physically
always a good
fling
call.
the dice. It did get
Yeah.
one higher. So let's... Okay, 9.
I'd ask you if you think that's good enough, but you don't have that
I don't
option.
know! I can't do anything else.
You form fast friends with this woman. There's nothing between the two of you. There's no spark. I think you get the sense that she is a very physical person. And just from the way that she's holding you, like, since you said, like, my bones will break, like, she's treated you a lot more delicately than dragging you around. You definitely get the idea that she is worried that if she was in a real relationship with you, she would break you, possibly on the first night.
May
And
or
so,
may not be absolutely correct about that. My constitution is 4.
yes, I know, you remind us every episode, sometimes more than once an episode.
My glass is bone.
He is a woman who very clearly enjoys not a militant life like yourself, but a hardy life. I mean, she's the kind of woman that's willing to go to the front lines of a war zone to look at artwork.
Straight up.
Yandere artist, well, clearly not Yandere artist. And you know what? Yanderes existed a long time ago historically, so this isn't a new thing, but she's not one of them. I think you find a lifelong friend and communications partner. She will wing woman you with others now. She will absolutely send the tweet that he's such a catch, period, sentence 2, someone should lock him down, period.
Alright,
I think this is the best of all possible worlds. Yeah, he's definitely happy, because she seemed cool. I think they have a similar sense of humor, like dry and caustic. That's why he likes her articles.
He is looking at your mech not from the perspective of a piece of electronic warfare, but this mech is simply not seen in the Magistracy. It's not just not seen in the Magistracy, it's a new piece of technology freshly formed. That thing does not happen very often in the Battletech universe. New Battlemechs, and especially ones using new advanced technology. It's been hundreds of years since something like this has been seen. She's looking at this from an aesthetic point of view, that the Raven literally looks like a perching bird. And like the weird electronic warfare module on its shoulder has been incorporated into its design. And she's like, certainly not gauche. Just getting involved with it. We cut back to a new ceremony. There is a parade demonstration of the local militia cadets. So these not like military militia, like maritime merchantman militia, like people who serve on boats and such. The youth JROTC militiamen. So this is like 15 to 18-year-olds in this village. So there's probably about 12 of them wearing color guard uniforms, carrying unloaded rifles, marching up the bridge that leads across the river part way, and doing demonstrations while the locals ride on boats nearby and are like, "That's my son! That's my son right there! That one!" You are leading them in a dress conductor's uniform, carrying a baton and wearing a sash. You look immaculate.
Excellent.
I am going to fall back on one of my favorite mini games in all of existence in both of the Final Fantasy VIIs, where you do the marching mini game in Junon.
Yeah.
You are leading your unit. You're like, triangle, square, triangle, oh, square.
Excellent.
Now, we cut back onto the nightmare of Rahul. You are in the center of a very boring mech base. There are 3 women temporarily placated by coffee. You are being weighed and measured by an old woman. You are being investigated by a person who vastly outranks you, who you've shown your belly to. You've shown that you are treating this as a military operation by saluting her, so she is your superior. And there's Lady Tiffany, who just really seems to be hanging in there to keep her great aunt from going absolutely buck wild.
I think with that, in Rahul's mind, he's just going, just like home. And he hates that fact. I think he's going to take the time to turn to Lady Tiffany and go, "So, Lady Tiffany, what brings you all the way to this small military base in the middle of nowhere?"
Oh, she leans in close to you and says, "Can you come up with an excuse to lead us both away from here? I think that my great aunt will be okay if I leave her with the Comcapt. She seems capable."
That can be done easily. Oh, yes, of course. I'd be willing to show you around the offices. This way, please. I hope you two will be fine. We're just going to have a look at some of the more mundane aspects of military life. It's quite fascinating if you'd like to come see. Very much makes it as boring as possible.
Madame Petunia almost looks like she's ready to go, and then Levans is just like, "No. I assure you, you're not going to want to look at that. But if you'll come with me, I'm pretty sure I can figure out where the exercise room is. I'm sure there are plenty of strapping young men." Madame Petunia's like, "Well, it's not like I'd spend all day gawking at young, military-aged, fit young men working out with their shirts off, but if you insist, Levans, let's go, for your benefit." And she goes off after Levans, who is clearly looking at Tiffany like, "You've saddled me with this, and you shall pay. You shall pay dearly." Tiffany's just like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. My great aunt can be quite a bit to keep a hold of.
Oh no, I understand.
I just needed a moment's peace. I've been on a dropship with her for the last 4 weeks since we've traveled from the home. It's like herding cats."
Yes, completely understandable. Trust me, I am well aware of women such as her. My grandmother was very much the same.
Yes.
Sadly.
I'm so sorry she brought up Dr. Jack Manley with you. I don't know why he's so popular. I mean, he doesn't have the same pedigree that someone like you does. My understanding is that you're very well thought of.
Yes, I do my best. There is only so much, good breeding and blood can do when it comes to, the battlefield, and let's just say old Jack Manley has a bit of a bleeding heart, considering he's in the medical field.
Oh, are you an accomplished soldier?
I dare say I am. I am also an accomplished academic.
What papers have you published?
Oh, several. For myself, I did my master's in business and law. Specifically,
Okay.
I studied criminology.
Now, I'm going to ask you in character if that's true.
I think
It's
he
okay
definitely
if you
did.
say yes.
I think
there's
it is.
There's going to be a role here, either way.
Yeah. I think there is, but I think it's pretty obvious that he didn't get through because of... Actually, how smart is he?
I love the idea that you've turned your master's in criminology into committing crimes.
Absolutely, that's the idea behind it.
That's what I heard.
He studied criminal so he could do it better.
Had to go to jail to be a crook, had to go to university to be an even better one.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Somewhere out there, a paralegal is dying.
Yeah, he's not particularly intelligent, but I definitely say he probably, if not paid his way through it, probably cheated.
Okay.
He's not an
Bled
ethical
of
man.
the battlefield of academia.
I would like a roll on a skill that I'm still determining with the bonus from your intelligence. Let's see here.
Could it be culture criminal?
Yes! I love the idea that your law degree comes from culture criminal. Holy shit. My apologies to all lawyers who just had to listen to that.
Oh,
Maybe not
boy.
all
Right.
lawyers.
Consult Sam after.
Yeah, better call Saul.
Better call Raoul.
All right.
So this is a 9 intelligence, that's a 0, and a 1 in culture criminal, so that's also a 0.
All right. I'm saying
do you have
need a
a
7 or higher.
7 or higher? Then let's go.
And you have your reroll. That is a 6.
I'm going to use my reroll.
Wow, that's wild.
Noting down the time.
We're not going to have a second hour. You don't need to worry about that one. I mean, we're basically in the second hour now.
Yeah,
That is an 8, which is
that's an 8.
what you need. You establish yourself with your criminology. You list off some of the papers that you've worked on, and she goes, "Oh, I haven't read them exactly, but it's so interesting that you've been published." I must say, I've had a university education, but I'm afraid it's just a bachelor's in general studies.
Oh, how fascinating.
Is it?
Yes. I find academia something that is so often not truly appreciated for what it is worth. Even general studies. There is something towards the act of studying and the knowledge that it takes that really shows a person's worth.
Oh, well, most of my learning was sort of off campus at remote study centers. My parents didn't want me to get too involved with, sororities and fraternities and sort of mixing with common folk. We, of course, donate to several universities, including the University of Luxon, a highly prestigious medical college, and I was established at a remote campus there for young ladies. I thought general studies was a very noble goal, but it was definitely looked down upon by some of those who were in pre-med there. I'm glad that I've met a fellow person of culture who understands the importance of learning about a lot of stuff. Yes.
Of course. Having a varied education is always important.
Well, I heard that the The Night Fox was recently captured at this facility. I assume a criminologist of your caliber was involved in that. Flashback to you, middle of the night, in the wet, dragging a massive crate of stolen guns that you yourself sold.
I imagine this is like a cutaway from Arrested Development. It just cuts through and then cuts to his face and he goes, "Indeed I was. In fact, I was one of the leaders in the investigation that ended up catching the Night Fox. In fact, I myself was quite influential in catching their accomplice that had infiltrated themselves amongst our own."
You mean that dog, Irwin? How did he ever get so high up on the list? I mean, I'm not exactly using my grandmother's version, but number 23? Why, he ranked higher than Louis Gabriel, who clearly is a very well put together young man himself, despite his lack of noble blood, which I would not hold against him.
It really is unfortunate. It seems you never truly know the person until, well, the worst happens. And then it just cuts to him whispering in people's ears.
I absolutely feel like as you're saying that, there's a tinnitus sound as it's just zooming in on your dead eyes of you just be like, you never truly know people.
Never truly know someone.
Now here's my question.
Deep darkness.
Are you interested in making a Riz check here with Lady Tiffany?
I think a general one. I think overall, Rahul always plans to come up as charismatic and interesting and alluring to pretty much anyone. Because
now, I'm not asking for a Riz check for that. I'm looking to establish a permanent relationship. Again, whether that's Immoor, whether that's friends with benefits, whether that's you want to get this woman hooked on marriage so that she can be your sugar mama and take care of you for life. The difficulty will vary based on what you want out of this young woman, but this is an opportunity. Your one shot, mom spaghetti.
Out of quick curiosity, because I'm trying to put it together. Is she of similar or higher rank socially, or is she?
So she's a woman, so she's mostly going to be higher rank than me socially in general. But as a Darachi member, she is of noble blood, and it would seem, based on the fact that Petunia's her grand aunt, that she has some sort of extended familial bloodline of nobility.
Okay, then.
Is there something in particular you want to know about her? I mean, she is not royal blood like you are, but she is obviously from a wide, if not strong family based on what you know without making a roll.
I think it sounds what I think Rahul is going to do. He's going to do this in a way that leads her along, as in like there's a possibility of something in the future, but he wants to keep his options open because he really wants to get the fuck off this planet. He's awful. He's awful. He's the goddamn worst.
I'm not saying he's the worst. I'm saying you're the worst. Let me be clear.
He's
bad, but you're the worst.
Gotta keep my options open. What am I supposed to do?
There's absolutely a Michael Jackson song about playing with a young girl's heart right here. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
All right. Lady Tiffany of Camberfield, you're looking to keep your options open. I'm going to say this is a 7 persuasion charisma check.
All right, then. So I have...
you don't have a reroll.
14. Yeah, I don't have a reroll.
+1.
Unless we wait. Unless you're willing to wait an hour.
No. In an hour,
so
I'll
I
be
have a 14. So that's +1. And I have 3 points in persuasion. So I have a
that
plus
is
3
a 3 overall, yes. So you just need a 4 on these dice to come up somewhat successful, which is exactly what you've rolled. You crawl across the line. It looks like you're going to fail, but every part of your natural charisma, the training you've received, like, this girl doesn't get it, right? You're like, I'm very interested in forming a longer-term relationship with you, but you say it in 1,000 words, and she's like, I don't really know what you're saying. I don't get it. And you're like, God damn it. Okay. Dig down deep. We'll get this through to her.
All right, come on. You could do this, Rahul.
By the end of the conversation, you do not leave her with the impression that you want a deeper intimate romantic relationship with her. You leave the door open and you exchange, most importantly, not only contact details, but also cards. You get the card of Lady Tiffany of Camberfield. Sorry, of Camberfield. We now cut back to a certain drill master who is receiving an award for his own heroism. The entire ceremony is taking place in Mandarin Chinese, which you don't speak a single fucking word of. Yeah. And occasionally people like turn to you. To be clear, this ceremony is taking place on like a raised dais and looks more like a hot dog eating contest that involves a lot of rice and various dishes that are filled with brown liquid and some form of meat or fish. And so every once in a while, people will all cheer whatever the person's saying, and someone will put another small dish of rice and another small dish of some form of browned meat in front of you, and everyone will begin watching patiently for you to test it and tell them what it's like.
That makes sense. Of course, every time it's going to be a very if it's terrible, he'll still do his best to make sure that he doesn't come off that way, and it's always like some kind of like it's always a chef's kiss. Or he'll give a thumbs up.
I want to roll.
Different things. All right, what kind? What do we need?
I want a persuasion, charisma, or if you have another skill set, culture criminal to fucking lie to these people that they're stale fish, they're fish saucy fish that maybe isn't to your liking. No,
let's just go with the persuasion.
All right.
So I don't remember. So I've got a 8 charisma, but I've got 2 in. Persuade.
Okay.
So is that a 1 or 0? Is that how that works?
8 is a 0, I think. It's 7 and lower is a -1.
So
and then how many points in persuade?
2.
Yes, you have a +1. Okay. I'm gonna say it's a 7, so you need a 6 on the dice. Is that a 9 total?
8.
You cut into some aged fish perfectly with chopsticks. Slicing the skin away, slicing the meat away. You get a whiff of the incredibly strong sauce. It's like someone combined like oyster sauce and like fish sauce, some sort of fermentation involved. This is not your jam right here. And there's definitely way too much salt. Like someone took some MSG and Uncle Rogered the shit out of it into this sauce. You've had some good dishes, some bad dishes so far. This is clearly horrible. And maybe the meat is a little raw in the aging process as you eat it, and you give a thumbs up, and some woman in the crowd just like breaks down into tears and is on her knees crying, and you can hear someone in Mandarin saying like, "You did it. You did it, Mom. You finally did it." And she's just like, "Oh my God. I knew one day I would get the recipe right. Your grandmother would be so proud of me. I've just been trying for years, and I could never recreate her recipe. It was always too salty. And this outsider has come from across the stars, and finally, I've got someone who gets it. They really get it."
Oh, dear God.
Her eyes are puffy and red. Tears are streaming down her face. It's not good.
Is there some sort of alcohol nearby that I can quickly consume after? Not too
someone
quickly.
gives you some soju to help clear your mouth out. Yeah.
I just want to say, Rebecca, in the chat and my DMs, I totally agree with them. Everything you described just sounds so good.
Good, because I'm describing a real thing I've actually done, except for that last part with the bad fish. I don't want to do that, but yeah. Not everyone's into a shit ton of brown sauces with fishes and meats over rice, but I am.
Indeed.
Yeah. But I think we've now established that Bob's character is not.
Indeed. Well, the bad fish part doesn't sound great. So
Yes. Of course.
he does have culture traveler, so maybe he's maybe that
Iron
plays
stomach.
in.
Yes.
Yeah.
People are openly weeping as you a foreign outsider who they don't think has any culinary taste. Prove that you love every dish from their village, and never once do you betray anything of your real thoughts. It's all, oh, this is so good, it's so good. I wish I could get the recipe sort of deal. In the background, we see the mech bay with the Raven mech, like, getting out and walking around, and we see, like, in the cockpit, in the back seat. So on the reverse side of the seat, there's something called a jump seat, where someone can sit back to back with you in a mech cockpit, and it's just Ndaya Abu is just back there, just like, it's quite a bumpy ride, isn't it? Also, it's a bit hot in here.
Yes, the heat management is the most deadly and important part of it. But don't worry, we're not going to be overheating in here. This is the lever that you would pull if you wanted to get out really quickly. Don't pull that lever. Let me know if you want to exit. This will launch you up into the air.
No, it's fine. Everything looks so different from up here and moving at 60 kilometers an hour. It's just an unusual how jagged the stepping is. With the bird legs, I didn't think the gait would be so different from walking on your own feet.
No, definitely. I find it more graceful than my regular gait, but don't worry, we'll get onto more level ground to ease up the shock. Or perhaps the grass. Yes, let us make the gardeners curse our name. Incidentally, in the scene before the last and this scene, he hasn't given any, like, frenzied, frantic pings of Pascal's pager. Like, the first scene, it was all ping, 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 ping. But as he became friends with this lady, but yeah, he's just enjoying himself.
We cut back to Rahul. You are experiencing tinnitus as you are listening to Madame Petunia describing how she railed her third husband to death in front of a complete stranger, yourself, and her grandniece, who is horrified. She's just like, well, once you tie them to the posts and they're just kind of stuck there, you can do whatever you want with them. And, well, he didn't have his heart medication before we started. I'm not bothering you, am I, Rahul?
No, ma'am. Not at all.
This is the important part, Tiffany. You have to understand, your first one is very important. Now, I'm not just talking about taking a man, of course. That's its own thing. You can select any man you want, even this man, even a member of the Furness, as a husband. Any magistracy noblewoman canonically can select any man at all, even one already married to a commoner, to be her husband, permanently and without any recourse. He has no choice but to marry her. So be very careful if you're going to use that power. Use it wisely, because I don't know that this young man's worth it. Could he die of a heart attack in bed? I don't think so. He doesn't look like he's got that kind of stamina. There is the tail, though. You have to assume there's some sort of cybernetic involvement here. Have you been modified, young man?
I prefer to say improved. But yes, it was a tradition among my family.
Okay. Now, just to be clear, she meant testicularly sort of modification. So she's like, yes, you see, men are always like that, trying to mutilate their genitals to make them more impressive. You know, you can enjoy the results even if you don't want to get involved with it. Oh, Tiffany, I know I don't think this one's for you. What about you, Lavons? Lavons is just like sitting there. She is in tinnitus mode, like truly horrified with the shit that's come out of this woman's mouth in the last 20 minutes. Like, sorry, Petunia. I'm sorry. My mind was elsewhere. I lost you somewhere around the description of how you forcibly married your second husband. We truly lead different lives, those of us who are soldiers, do we not, Rahul?
Indeed we do. Speaking of which, I was wondering if you might be able to help me out with something.
She's like,
there's
yes,
a military
absolutely. And she
matter.
grabs you and takes
Yeah,
you away from this
wonderful.
conversation.
Fucking leaves. And I think once they leave, Rahul visibly shudders. Just everything he's been holding, and he just goes, I do not like that woman at all.
I can certainly understand that the Magistracy is one of the most modern and enlightened governments in history, and of course I'm a full believer in the core beliefs of our own, that women are, of course, the superior gender, and more importantly, that growth is a very important part of helping people achieve their next level or whatever they're going to do in their life, and that they should receive feedback and guidance in moving forward. But I truly did not need the play-by-play on how she seduced 3 different men, and God help me if I had to listen to the 4th one, who I assume is still married to her.
Or dead. One of the
I
two.
think he's still alive, but by God,
We'll see how long that
I have to assume
lasts.
he must barely be alive.
Yes, well, I am, as anyone, a champion of our people's traditions. But you know, I do like not being thought of as a simple plaything. After all, I am of a good lineage, I dare say.
Royal lineage.
Indeed. But yes.
There are rumors in the service that I heard at the landing base that you were promised to a woman they call the Wolf. Is there any truth to such rumors?
I would say no.
Hmm.
And one of the
No,
big reasons
you know how
I
people
would
can
think...
talk on a military base.
Oh yes, but
especially
one
a
of the
ship.
big reasons I'd say is I'm one of the few that aren't wearing a collar. Trust me, you can pick them out pretty easily.
I did note several at the landing area. Well, I noticed that you were listed as a previous commander of this base. Very curious. It must be tough living a men's life where your rank can rise and fall so quickly. I would not want command of my vessel to be taken from me at a moment's whim. I am its sole captain. And
Oh,
yet now
certainly.
you serve a man who once served under you, but weeks ago. I'm
That is
curious how
indeed
you handle
true.
that.
Well, here, among so many of those who perhaps once would be considered my inferiors, in the military we aren't all equals. Well, those of us that share ranks. I see those of my fellow men as my brothers in arms. We are here for each other, to support each other, in the hopes that through such we can support our great magistracy, and of course, her royal magistrates. We are all servants of our great nation,
Of course.
so we all come together. Even
We all
if one
serve
of
the
us takes the
magistrates.
lead. Indeed. Even if sometimes positioning may change, we all are united in one goal. And for that reason, we continue to work together. No need to let such petty rivalries take us over. After all, I am a nobleman. If not the most noble of noblemen.
Would you say, Rahul, that your family is a supporter of Kayela Centrella? And
My
what she's
family.
asking you above the
Yeah.
table is, do you support Kayela over her daughter, Emma, who is a strong supporter of the military?
Yeah.
This whole war is basically Kayela really overreaching here.
Yeah. I think with that, Raoul pauses for a moment, realizing just how dangerous his next words could be for his future health.
I mean, especially to an officer who outranks you so highly that you've clearly shown. I think when you turn and look at her, this is not a woman asking the question. This is the Comcapt asking this question.
Yeah.
This is now a question of your personal loyalties and political affiliations.
Yeah. I think with that, he turns and goes. As one who bears the blood of royalty, it is my responsibility to see that the great noble house that has ruled our mighty magistracy for so long continues to prosper and grow. My family have done so for generations upon generation. So I would say, above all else, I support my nation, my magistracy, my magistrix, and her heir. Have you heard the saying, united we stand, divided we fall?
Indeed, I have.
I'm a great proponent to the idea that unity is what will get us forward. Especially in a time such as this. A chaos upon our people.
In the naval service, it is important that orders are strictly followed from a superior officer, leading from the captain down to the lowest rating.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you find yourself having particular loyalties to either our magistrix or her heir? One more than
Make
another?
a dice roll. I would like a wisdom perception-y roll, whatever that is in the system. There's always something like it in whatever system you have.
It is perception.
Can I use criminal culture?
No, not in any way, shape, or form. She's not a criminal.
But
Listen,
I am.
you've done well to establish the lawyer thing, but no.
Alright. Okay. Wisdom. Ooh! Wisdom is a 14!
+1.
And he has a point in perception. So
So you have a +1 overall. You need an 8.
And how do we feel about taking an hour break?
No.
Damn.
I'm feeling about taking a break in about 9 minutes.
God damn
it. You look at her, you ask that question, and she says, I think that talking about politics in this manner is beyond a member of the service. It's unwise for a standing member of the military to get involved in the political side of things, especially getting involved in any political groupings, or, I dare say, a political party. One should stick to issues, and only in social situations. I assume that you believe that we are in such a social situation.
Indeed. My apologies if I overstepped.
No, not at all. As captain of a vessel, it would be unwise of me to comment on political operations in any way. I'm afraid I can't share my thoughts on this matter. I support all of House Centrella, which, as your family is an extended member of the Centrella House, suppose that would include you.
Well, I would suppose it would be more inclusive of my sisters, but I suppose I do technically count.
Another fence sitter. I think you'll find that many militaries around the world specifically prohibit political involvement. Talk to any service member wearing a uniform to a rally. You won't find a single one that isn't talking to a member of the military judiciary. Now, if you go into the barracks, well, everybody's drunk and you talk politics, that's going to be a different thing, I should think. But it's not like they let me in the barracks to talk politics. Speaking of, our final scene is Petunia absolutely sexually harassing a number of young men and women, equal opportunity vulture, harvesting the carcasses of the young. And she's just like, well, let me tell you, Tiffany, look at the ass on this one. You can tell this guy runs 13 miles a day. Hits him with a towel. In my day, you'd see at least a full barracks of men like this. Sad to say, this is the only specimen worth looking at so far. And he doesn't even have a tail like that commander. I do not want to keep going on as a 72-year-old woman like this, so let's fade to black. Bob, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to have a scene here, either with these women still here, as they're leaving, or after they're gone, because I wouldn't want you to have sat here for an hour and a half and truly done nothing.
I mean,
but you did literally choose to do this.
I got to watch them navigate the gauntlet I set up, so that's great. Like, it was perfect. And by setup, I mean mostly just press the button and walked away.
Press the button and run away.
Yeah.
Is there to the wolves and I'll come back with a friend.
He literally pulled out the pin and threw the grenade to us and was like, deal with it.
Do we have a post-credit scene for you?
Yeah, there is. I think Pascal is very interested in finding out the fate of what's his name? Mr. Setup right now. I don't think
Jack Manley?
No.
Erwin.
Yeah, I don't think he has a lot of care for most things, but when it's someone that literally was just used to get everyone out of the fire.
Yes, Ernst Zimmer. Yes, that's what his name is.
Yeah, Ernst Zimmer. Yeah. I think he wants to at least keep an eye on where that's going. And I'm trying to think about how he would do it. He'd be very careful. But if there's anything he can do to maybe support him having a good shot at the case. Because I imagine it's a trial, right? A military trial is probably what he's up for.
You're his base commander, right?
Yeah.
I think that you pulling up his files and like calling in for an update would not be that unusual. They're talking the death penalty for treason.
Yeah.
And I mean, just to be clear, his guilt is assumed. He tried to run when they tried to arrest him. Like,
right.
The role to set him up was so good. The frame job is in. It's been supported repeatedly. He tried to run. Like, I know you want to give this guy a good shot, but they're probably going to hang him in the next couple of days. Like, this trial will be fully perfunctory, and they're going to keep it as quiet as possible because no one back home wants to get the news that, like, a guy was murdered for treason. Absolute traitor behavior. Like, no, this is the kind of thing that's going to be covered up quietly. He'll be, he'll hang in some corner of a base where all the service members will get to see it and hear about it, and no one from the press is ever going to learn what happened to this guy. That's what you get on a very discreet phone call between base commanders. Could you do something to stop this? I think so. It would take an extraordinary plan or an extraordinary role.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what route. You know what? He's a traitor. What's traitor as in with the D, not with the T? Yeah.
You're a filthy criminal traitor, sure.
Yeah. What are the odds we could maybe, if it's happening off screen? What if he's tried, he's guilty, and rather than dying, he vanishes
smuggle him
instead.
Off world?
Yeah. Probably not a great life. Probably somewhere backwater, and you know what I mean. Not in the Magistracy. Not what he wants.
You're called a criminal?
I do not. So,
what skill do you have that you think could support this plan?
That's part of what I'm thinking about, because I have culture traveler. I have. I don't think I could do enough with bureaucracy to pull this off.
I think you
Could I present an option? Ernst Zimmer is a member of the nobility. He has a noble house with presumably money, with presumably contacts. I can see bureaucracy working with them.
I absolutely see bureaucracy. Yeah. I think that as his commanding officer, you could somehow arrange for his guards to deliver him somewhere, and then like a second set of guards is supposed to be waiting to pick him up, and they just miss it, and everyone's like, "Oh, he escaped somehow!" And like in the process, you've managed to have guards deliver him to a waiting dropship that just takes off with him and gives him a new life somewhere in the not in the Magistracy, but maybe somewhere in the Capellan space, maybe somewhere in Merrick space.
Solaris will do fine. No, just kidding.
No! Hey, what's wrong with taking him to Solaris?
Yeah. All right, let's do it. What am I rolling? Bureaucracy with what do you think is best for stat?
Intelligence for sure. Okay. And I'm going to be honest. The difficulty here is a 9. You haven't rolled at all, so you still have a reroll.
I have rolled. I just rolled well once. That's all. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. You have a reroll here. You need a 9.
Need a 9. So I do have.
This roll ain't fucking around.
This is a good pull for me. I have 2 in bureaucracy, and I have an intelligence 14.
Okay, so that's +1, so it's a 2 total.
Gotta roll a 7 or higher.
That is a 7. Now, you do have the option of re-rolling if you want an even better success. If I can tempt you into making a bad bargain in case you want this guy's life to be better than the bare minimum.
Yeah, you know what? Living on the edge. Bob lives on the edge. Maybe not the
I think I may have just killed Ernst Zimmer, but yeah. All right, Bob.
Okay.
He also rolled a 7 with a 6 and a 1 again.
Yeah. Different dice too, wasn't it? That's
they
great.
Flipped, yeah. Ernst Zimmer, we catch him blasting off from space as like a weird theremin synthwave version of Rocket Man is playing. One of your crews is like cutting his military issue bonds off of him. Like someone's got like a fucking like saw like to get through his handcuffs, and he's just like, who are you? Where are you taking me? I was supposed to go to the execution grounds. And he just looks around, and there's a bunch of people wearing uniforms that have your last name on them. He's like, what? The commander? He saved me? And one of the guys is like, oh boy, don't worry about it. We're taking you to Solaris. Don't worry. We'll be saddling you with a debt for this travel. It's 5,000 credits for every jump, and it's 12 jumps to Solaris. That's 5 years worth of payments, and there'll be interest for every day you don't pay, lad. And he's like, no!
A fate worse than
massive debt!
Yeah.
So he gets the bare minimum of not being dead, which is he owes you a massive amount of credits and will work the rest of his life to pay off his student loans. That's what he tells people on Solaris, is that he's saddled with massive student loans he has to pay.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, sure, first time, right? Yeah. Because I'm sure everyone that goes to Solaris has student loans of some kind. Yeah.
Wow, I want him to appear in one of my shows now that's based on Solaris. I have several. Just have this really down on their luck guy who's very clearly Ernst Zimmer but has a new name and just complains about his student loans.
That'd be great.
We can make this happen.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Everyone can take 750 experience points for this wild fucking episode.
Thank you kindly.
No, thank you kindly for showing up.
Hell yeah.
All these evil plots got done. Unreal.
Indeed. I think Raul did have the worst of it. He had to deal with a lady who couldn't take the hint, a lady who got the hint too well, and whatever the hell Petunia was, just a full exemplar of how bad it can be for noble women in this place. What's the natural exaggeration of being objectified? You were worse than that. You were turned into a bad concept.
Pretty much. I think the funniest thing about it is it just reminded Rahul of being home. That's just what his life was. That's why he joined the military. He's like, I came to get away from this shit. He's fucking back in it.
I just imagine as Petunia was talking about the man she kidnapped to have marry her and then fucked to death, in the window you'd just be seeing the Raven marching.
Oh,
Good
God.
times. Good times.
Bob, you want to lead us in introductions?
Yeah, sure. All right. As in go first? Is that what you mean?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we do at Taking Time Bob Gaming, we do this once a month or so, which is that a better cadence than our cooperative shows, AP? Or are they about the same? The sibling shows here, Blades of Honor, Oath of Ended Steel.
That's hurtful.
Yeah, I didn't mean a slight. I just meant I know how hard it is to get some.
There
of those
was a
folks together.
time where
Yeah.
I would do multiple Battletech shows in 1 week, but yeah, once a month is about how I'm going right now.
Yeah, so we do this. Feel free to come back. We love to get a crowd, and it's starting to pick up some momentum. I feel like the last couple episodes, especially, it's starting to get that Bridgerton vibe, which is great. And it's a wonky mixture of things. What it is, which I feel like that's Battletech. We also do a lot of Pendragon here on Sundays, on Tuesdays, and on Fridays. So feel free to check that out as well. And we have open Pendragon for those that want to join. Just drop in Pendragon every once in a while. So yeah, I'll pass it on to Mark. Mark will close with AP, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I was just looking at our handy dandy Discord. By the way, did you know we have a Discord? Come check us out. Lots of fun things on there, such as shitposting and memes, as well as notifications on whenever we go live, as well as new projects that we are working on. For example, I am working on a project, Vampire the Dark Ages campaign, that will be coming out, and we'll start streaming next week. So keep an eye out for more information on that. And if you want more information on that, join the server. I have been Mark, aka the Cat's Meow, and I've been playing one charismatic bastard. And I'm excited for when we get to do this again. Until then, have a good night, y'all.
We'll go over to Thomas.
Hello, that's me. I am Thomas, and I have been playing Louis Gabrielson, who had surprisingly good time. I thought he'd be the biggest bastard, but I'm very glad that Erstima is allowed to escape. His escape does mean that Louis is now convinced that he was the traitor, by the way. He didn't before, he does now. But yes, that's basically it. I am in other things, mostly the things of Bob, the Pendragon, and Mark, the Dark Ages campaign. And otherwise, you will not see me. Do not go looking. You will not find me.
Perfect. And we'll close out with AP.
Tell me, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you. It's a Sith legend. I have no follow-up. Bob, thanks for letting me be here and just do dumb shit all the time.
It's fantastic. We all enjoyed it. So thanks for running. And thanks you everyone who watched. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Farewell.
Hey.